Hey, good morning, fellas. Yeah, we're rolling here. Day 2 of the Warrior Redemption Program. Excited to have you back. Today we're going to be doing a continuation of our lesson from yesterday, which is that car analogy talking about the 4 elements of health and how important it is to make sure that we've got a good destination, because that's going to dictate what the other elements of health, how healthy we actually have to be. So picking that good destination is the focus of today. We're going to talk about 3 different types of goals that we set in our lives. The first type of goal is that known goal. The second is an unknown goal, I'll call it. And that third being the super unknown goal. Okay, so what's a known goal? A known goal is something that we set, a goal that we set, but we've been there before. We've actually personally experienced it before. So an example of this could be going to the rifle range. Maybe you've got a sharpshooter score or an expert score when you go to the rifle range, and you know that you're going into it how you did it in the past. You're just going to apply the same stuff that you did at the next time you go out and shoot, and you're going to get that expert badge again, hopefully here, right? And it feels good when you get accomplish a known goal, but there's really no growth that's really attached to it. And so the goal here is to grow, but with a known goal, they're really not pushing us that much to really grow personally. The second type of goal I'd call is that unknown goal. We've never personally been there before, so it's unknown in that aspect from our personal experience, but we know how we're going to get there. So the path there is known to some degree of certainty, but the destination we just haven't personally experienced it ourselves. So for some reason, some people, analogy that would come to mind here, an example that would come to mind, it may apply to some more so than others, would be going to college, right? Going to college is something that there's a pretty defined path on how to get to college at this point in time. Maybe you've never been there before. Maybe your parents have never been there before, so maybe it might be in that super unknown category for you and a little bit more inspiring. But for all intents and purposes, an unknown goal, right, where we know the path to get there, it's not particularly inspiring for us, right? Nobody's going to make a movie about it. Well, we get into those goals that are really movie-worthy goals, right? We think of Rudy, we think of William Wallace, and we think in Braveheart. We think of the movie Miracle on Ice, the 1980 Olympic hockey team. These are movie-worthy goals. These are people that set a goal and they had no idea how the path that was actually going to get them there. They set that goal, they fixed it in their mind, they had a vision, they continued to pursue it day in and day out, they visualized it constantly, but they had no idea what the how was and how they were going to get there. And when we step into these super unknown goals and we start focusing our attention on these super unknowns, gear up. It can be a little bit scary at first, because all of a sudden you got all these things that start chirping in your mind, all this chatter starts going in your mind that's saying you can't, you'll never, always in these absolute contexts, the way that the chatter starts up in our mind when we step off on those super unknowns. But the reality of it is, guys, like that's where the fun is in life. The fun is in stepping off, pursuing something you have no idea how you're going to get there, and the fun is figuring out along the way the how on how you're going to get there. I got a buddy who's just getting ready to start a business, opening up a brewery, and he's brewed beer for himself at home, but he's never brewed it on like a big nano brewery tap. He's building it. He's building a brewery for the first time. He's never run a bar in his life, but he's doing this. And I'll tell you what, just sitting down and talking with him on how he's going through this, he's got this fixed vision in his mind. It's really inspiring watching it. And I feel uplifted, and it makes me want to, like, it's motivating, right? Like, it makes me want to pursue these, step out into that unknown, that super unknown myself. And this is just the way that these super unknown goals, they don't just affect our lives, but they inspire other people's lives, right? And so we're persons that are not made for ourselves, but we're made to be in communion with other people. And so to the extent that we can step out into that super unknown and we can set our sights on something that's super unknown, and that's going to be the focus of today's worksheet activity, to the extent that we can do that, guys, we're going to have this impact not only on our own personal lives and becoming the best versions of ourselves here and stepping into that life of thriving, but we're also going to compel other people to step into that life of thriving. At the same time, we're also going to convict those people that have settled for a life of comfort, and they're going to feel convicted by your life. It's not necessarily what the goal is, but it's just a ripple effect of what happens. What's your super unknown? What's the desire? What is it that you are seeking? It's not focused on the how. You're not allowed to focus on the how. You're only allowed to focus on the what. And then the only question you're allowed to ask once you've determined what that what is, what that super unknown goal is, the only question you have to ask is, am I willing? Am I willing? Am I willing to do what it takes, everything that it takes, Even though I may not know what it takes at this point, am I willing to do what it takes? Am I willing to learn? Am I willing to sacrifice? Am I willing to sacrifice my sleep, sacrifice my time? Am I willing to sacrifice financially, perhaps? Am I willing to sacrifice to be able to step into that super unknown goal? And guys, don't put any limits on yourself. No limits allowed. Exercise that dream muscle here. The only question you're allowed to ask once you fixate that goal, once you get that vision in your mind, and again, it's got to scare you a little bit in order for it to be really a super unknown goal. The only question you're allowed to ask, am I willing? What's your super unknown goal? Start thinking about this today. Tomorrow we're going to focus on how we're going to strengthen that will to be able to keep us fixated on that super unknown goal. See you tomorrow, guys.